Hello, this is Paranormal Girl, and today I'm going to tell you 10 of the most astonishing ancient Chinese mythology stories. China, the land of mystery and enchantment, is filled with many images, religious gods and goddesses, mythical rules, historical beings, dragons, unicorns, what and what not. China passed through conflicting period of time, different religions and many opposing philosophies that appear and interact in many of the Chinese myths. When we go through some of the well-known Chinese tales, we find no clear distinction between what is real and what is mythical, what is earth and what is heaven, what is history and what is early storytelling used to be. There is no clear distinction between what is present and what is past. China is a mosaic of divergent philosophies and traditions, and we must consider this reality about China while we try to talk about ancient Chinese mythology. Despite having many themes and variations throughout the history of China, most of the Chinese myths possess one common and central element: the survival of ordinary people against great adversaries. Without any further ado, I'd like to present you 10 ancient Chinese mythologies. Number 10, the pilgrimage mythology. The pilgrimage mythology primarily talks about Kuan Yin, the goddess of mercy and compassion. In most of the myths, she's portrayed as a lady holding an infant and dressed in white, with the seat of lotus. She was said to have murdered by her own father. As she arrived in hell, she used to recite holy books. In effect, the Hell King could not make the dead souls suffer. Angry with Kuan Yin, the god sent her back to the world for living, where she gained spiritual insights from Buddha and later on blessed with immortality. The temple of Kuan Yin, located at the summit of Wondrous Peak, was ever filled with a host of pilgrims to get her attention. The pilgrimage mythology also talks about how Buddhism was introduced and flourished in China. The mythology has its own, that of the monkey, and that converts to Buddhism, but continues to use Taoist knowledge and skills to combat evil. There's a picture of her there. Number 9, myth about the monkey. The government official named Wu Chen-en, in his popular novel called Journey to the West, tells this myth about the monkey king named Sun Wukong. Sun Wukong is the most famous monkey in China. The monkey was said to have been born out of a stone egg that came from a magic rock on the mountain of fruit and flowers. According to the mythology, Sun used to be very naughty, eager to take over the world, and even cost Buddha a lot of efforts to tame him. The Monkey King is characterized by his greedy but joyful, curious, and extremely popular nature. Later in his life, he became a loyal companion to the monk Zhuang-yang for his adventurous journey from China to India and back again. There's a picture of the Monkey King. Number 8, the unicorn's prophecy. The myth of the unicorn's prophecy sprang up around the Confucius life. This story introduces the unicorn of Qi Lin, which is considered a sacred animal to the Chinese. It does not actually similar to the unicorn in European myths, but is a mix of many creatures, including the deer, the ox, the dragon, and the horse. The nature of Qin Lin has been depicted in myths as peaceful and a timid animal. The Qi Ling left the innocent alone, but if angered, jabbed evil people with its horn. It is said that some dependable soldiers and fairy judges fabricated the emblem of Qilin on their clothing to remind themselves how dutiful they were. During the 14th century, a real giraffe was sent to the imperial court, and many observers claimed it was the reincarnation of the mythical Qilin. Number 7. The Moon Goddess. Chang'o, the Chinese goddess of the moon, is the subject of several legends in Chinese mythology. The moon goddess mythology primarily incorporates elements like Hao Yi, the archer, an elixir of life, the benevolent emperor, and the moon. One very popular and interesting story of Chang'o takes you to the very distinct past when 10 sons of the Jade Emperor was transformed into 10 suns. The 10 suns rose in the heaven and scorched the earth, causing it difficult for the people to live. The archer Yi shot down 9 of them and left only 1 sun. Yi then was rewarded with the elixir of immortality. One day, Yi was out hunting, and his apprentice Feng Men broke into the house and forcefully tried to get the elixir from Yi's wife, Chang. But Chang refused to give the elixir to Feng Men and drank it all herself. As she consumed the elixir, she became weightless and flew upward towards the heaven to stay at the moon as a refugee. Number 6. The Grand Archer Yi. In many ancient Chinese mythologies, you can see gods helping the people. But the Grand Archer Yi is one of the few mortals who help the gods. He's characterized by having great skills of archery. Hao Yi is believed to have lived between 2436 and 2255 BC. Myths about him were linked to the people of the southwestern part of China. Yi was one of the most famed archers of that time. It is believed that Yi saved the moon during an eclipse and rescued the country from a variety of outbreaks. Hao Yi is also said to have shot down 9 to 10 suns that were burning up the earth in the prehistoric times. There are many other stories about Yi that are popular among common people. Number 5. Yu rebuilds the earth. The myth about Yu the Great is based on Chinese legend between 2205 to 2197 BCE. Like all demigods of the ancient times, Yu the Great could change himself into different shapes whenever necessary. He could transform himself into bears, dragons, and humans. Yu is considered the first one to pass his status as ruler to his descendants and thus create a dynasty called Xia. But due to the lack of the archaeological evidence about Xia, it still remains to be a mythical dynasty. One legend among many recounts Da Yu's, or Yu the Great, extraordinary birth wherein a man called Gun was given charge of controlling a great flood. He stole a piece of magic soil from heaven to dam the water. Furious with him, the Shangdi, Lord of the High, issued an order for his execution. After about 3 years, the miraculously preserved body of the Gun was slit open and a son was brought forth. He was Da Yu, and he was the one who, after years of hard work, provided outlets to the sea through dredging, with the help of the dragons. He is the one who made the earth suitable for human habituation. Number 4. Water War. Gong Gong, aka Pangu, a Chinese water god, is one of the frequently described characters in ancient Chinese mythology. He is depicted in stories as having red hair and a tail of a serpent. Gong Gong was credited in various mythological contexts as being responsible for destructive floods. He wrestled to get control of the earth shortly after the creation of people. Before Gong, Zhurong, the fire god, ruled the world peacefully. But when Gong became the ruler, he wanted to expand his influence by increasing the amount of water in the universe. In the 7/10 of water to the 3/10 of dry land. So he sent heavy rains and came close to destroying the world in a fierce power struggle with the Zhurong. To counteract the destructive forces of both Gong and Zhurong, Nuwa, the creator of people, appears in this myth. Gong is often seen as the ancient destroyer god and is blamed for many of the cosmic catastrophes. And in all accounts, Gong Gong ends up being killed or sent into exile. Number 3, Fu Xi teaches the people. The most ancient myths involve the 10 legendary king gods who guided people through their prehistoric beginnings. Around 3000 to 2197 BCE, they were demigods, who were half god and half human, who lived among the people and taught them the rules of civilization. Fu Xi was the first ruler of the magical period. Many scholars believe that his story is based on a monarch who lived sometime between 2953 and 2736 BCE. Despite having different variations of the stories, Fu Xi has been depicted as a beloved figure in all of the mythology, who taught survival skills to the early humans. He taught people how to use fire, how to cook, how to write, and many other skills like hunting, fishing, and fortune telling. Some myths depict Fu Xi as having the body of a human, while others depict him as having the head of a human and the body of a snake. In many stories, he's regarded as the husband of Nuwa, and they were the bearers of civilization. Number 2, Nuwa creates people. Nuwa, or better known as Nugua, the goddess in humankind, is one of the most popular characters in ancient Chinese mythology. As per the mythologies, Nuwa created the mankind and repaired the pillar of heaven and broken the corners of earth, which the Gong Gong had destroyed in a fit of anger. In Chinese mythologies, Nugua is regarded as the patroness of matchmakers. As a wife of Fu Xi, she helped establish the norms for marriage and regulated the conduct between the sexes. Nuwa is also said to have built a lovely palace that became the prototype for the later walled cities in China. The materials of the palace were said to have prepared overnight by the mountain spirits. Number 1, Pangu creates the world. The earliest Chinese mythologies contain many stories of many wondrous rulers of ancient times. However, there are no creation stories. The story of Pangu, or better known as Pangu, is probably the closest Chinese version of a creation myth. Pangu is the central figure in the Chinese Daoist legends of creation. Pangu, the first man, is said to have was created out of the cosmic egg, with 2 horns, 2 tusks, and a hairy body. According to the ancient myths, Pangu is said to have shaped the earth by chiseling out valleys and stacking up mountains. All this was accompanied from his knowledge of yin-yang, the inescapable principle of duality in all things. And what I'll do is I'll actually talk about the Monkey King in greater detail, along with a few other of these stories, because I found them very, very interesting. And if anyone has any ideas of who else I could talk about, let me know in the comments below. Thank you.